Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Collaborators on the official Odom's Library YouTube channel. My name's c.b.strul. I'm going to be your host. On this show, I'm going to be talking to friends of mine, artists, technicians who I've worked with, collaborated on different projects with in general across the years. Uh, we're going to talk about what worked, what didn't work, what was difficult, what was easy, what we really enjoyed about it, and ultimately if the project failed or succeeded. So today I have my first ever guest for this show. His name is Z. He's a great science fiction director, science fiction enthusiast, which is a man after my own heart. How's it going, Z?
It's going well, brother. It's going well. I had no idea I was the first, so I'm very extra honored now. Just to be part of this new venture for you. And like I've always said, I'm always here to help my fellow creators to be the best that they can be. Talk about everything under the sun, especially with science fiction, or inspiring humanity to unite. Because man, we should be already in spaceships seeing the galaxy and trying to collect as much information about where we come from and how we are in our place in the universe, who we are, all that stuff. So yeah,
Excellent,
man.
man. Yeah.
So yeah, take it away. What we got today?
Yeah, okay. So I have dual reasons for bringing you on as my first guest. First and foremost, you're just an awesome guy, and I really am excited to get to have this nice chat with you at the moment. But secondly, my book, Connectivity, is coming out in December, and you were integral in the process of helping me to develop the earlier forms of what became this book. So I had written a screenplay, and Z came on board to be the director back before COVID. And I want to talk to you about that process of us working on developing the newer version of that screenplay at that point and how we got involved in the project, what that was like.
I'd like to start with thanking you for the acknowledgement, man. It's a very for me, it's a very rare thing to now get to tell somebody in a setting where people are talking about books, and you have given me the honor to say that someone out there wrote an amazing book and gave me an acknowledgement, like some little credit of a push. And like as you know, Caleb, like I'm one of those people that just want to inspire people to be the best they can be, and to understand that they got every tool they have to make it happen. And it's not a matter of how, it's just a matter of when. Like how far are you willing to stick to it? And I know you and I have known each other for quite some time and seen, connectivity from a screenplay to now a book, and to see these characters. Honestly, they're fleshed out. I mean, they have all five characters in there have an arc, have some form of this growth that I wish when a reader reads it, they can associate themselves to one of those five. So yeah. But anyways, thank you so much for the acknowledgement, brother.
Of course, man. Like you definitely helped with that so much. It really makes a difference that for the entire book, what you accomplished for that. Like you just pushing me to work on the script that extra bit at the time and getting me excited about the fact that other people were excited about it was such a big deal, and I could tell, I could feel your excitement.
Thank you so much for the book and the nice written personalized message, which that was such
Of
a
course,
cool
man.
blessing and stuff. And but yeah, I believe if my memory serves me correctly, Kevin, what was Kevin's last name? Kevin. Um,
Marcus.
Marcus, yeah, Kevin Marcus. I had done a feature film with him, I believe. And that's how we knew each other. And he presented your script, Connectivity. And he knew how much I love directing sci-fi. How much I love the stories that are out of the realm of reality. Like I get it, there's amazing drama movies that are based in like current times, the 80s. But I love stories that take us to a different world, a different galaxy, because it allows us to ask questions that haven't arisen yet, or questions that it's really hard to bring that up front because most people are a little bit intimidated to ask those questions, especially in this time of AI, right? Where
Hmm.
people are incredibly fearful and of the future of where they're going to be, where their place in life is once the AI comes. And so anyways, Mr. Marcus Kevin sends me the script. I read it, and one thing I could say this about uh you, Caleb's writing is I know when I love a script because I don't like reading, is I go through it. I don't put it down. I'm reading it. I'm not confused. I'm not asking too many questions other than I can't, what's next? Like, what's the next thing in the page? And as soon as I was done with the script, I was like, okay, Kevin, let's meet this writer. Let's jam. Um, and yeah, I remember we were at his house. You're there too. And we just started going through the whys. And I was so curious on why you decided to create a wonderful story based on a single mother, which was so intriguing. Out of all the choices in the world, right? You pick a single mother. You have the child ends up being a male, and then there's this love interest between the main character, Seti and Constance, which develops over time in the script. So I was like, all right, cool. It just doesn't happen immediately. You got to earn it, right? And that's what kept me turning the page. And then, of course, the beautiful backdrop of the future, the dystopian future of these machines operated by video games, operated by the gamer, which I'm a gamer myself, so that's also a little tickle that you added. And yeah, I remember you and I were jamming about it, and I remember having this thought, and I was a little like, how am I going to present this to you? Is um, the script itself needed a little bit more character development, a little because these characters are so interesting. And of course, unfortunately, in my genre of feature films, we get 2 hours. I mean, now they're doing 3 hours, which I'm like, put an intermission. Jesus, like we're okay. We've done it back in the 40s and 50s. Give me an intermission. I got to go to the restroom. And so you and I started talking about those characters a lot. Who said he was? Zeke, what their reasoning, because Zeke had a good reason why he wanted to be the hero, why he
Mhm.
kept that hard problem to himself. And a lot of human beings do that. I'm very guilty of that. I will say this out loud. I have a hard time asking for help. And I unfortunately connect to Zeke. I was like, no, I understand why he doesn't want Seti's help, even though she's the protege now, right? She's crushing it. And yeah, and I remember we would have some good booze because it loosens up the lips and ideas. And I'm sorry, but it's true. And I just started becoming a little bit more forthright with you about these characters. And I could see in your eyes, you were like, it's got to be a book. Like I could see, but
Oh,
you were gonna say that to me because I'm like, I want to direct this movie. Like if it becomes a book, we'll never get to the movies. But it's not about me. That's one thing I tell a lot of directors. It's not about us at all. It's about the story. And if it becomes a screenplay, dope. If it comes a book, even doper, or a poem. Our job as humans is to inspire each other. And it becomes a movie, and I get to do what I love and be on the film set and you know create these. Honestly, I remember you and I talking about the visuals of the video game, the visual representations of it. And I'm like, heck yeah. And I remember telling you, like, I kind of want some of them to be textile where they're physically moving things and not so much the Iron Man approach. And you were so receptive of that. And I knew at that point that all our meetings would be received with an open mind. You would go back to your laboratory and then created this. And it was,
yeah.
yeah, man. You nailed it with the character development. And anybody I tell people, hey, well, obviously everybody tells me. I know Z doesn't like to read, so when he tells me there's a book that he loves, it's like, okay, we should pay attention. And I tell people if you want a book about um connection with the backdrop of sci-fi and a little bit of action adventure, a little bit of sentiment about, you know, I really feel like we're losing our connection right
Mhm.
now. I mean, not and no fault of yours. I mean, look at us right now. I mean, we're using this beautiful tool named Zoom, and we're on our own comfort zone, our own places. But
But
back
we
in
could have been in a room together. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
but we did it out of sheer convenience, right? And the sheer convenience of connectivity, and it's always been lingering since I read the script was instead of going out there with hazmat suits and going through the rough and trying to fix our earth, we're leaving it to the robots to go out there and face the danger, right? Because we're too afraid to face it. And then you got JC who's like, I want to see it with my own eyes. Like,
Yeah.
And it's a powerful moment in the book that you have to earn as you read it, right? And I hope I don't give too much away in this interview, in this
Oh yeah, I think what you're saying is all fair game. Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that I find incredibly interesting about the way that this story developed because we had been working on it back in 2019 together, and
Right.
so it was pre-COVID. And we were putting these ideas out there together about what we thought things would look like. And then all of a sudden we were all forced indoors anyway. And we were all forced to be by ourselves and just like living in our own room. And if we did talk to somebody, it had to be this way basically. And all of a sudden, like while that was going on, I'm like, okay, well, Hollywood shut down. I can't work on screenplays. I need to go out of my way and work on my prose, develop my prose. I did the ancient ones, and then I came back around to connectivity. I'm like, well, this is easy fodder now for me because like I'm experiencing it. I feel exactly what I knew these characters would be feeling when I was working on the screenplay. Now I can actually talk about it in a more developed way. And I
That's
mean, it wouldn't have existed without you, man. I really appreciate everything that you put into it. And now, like, who knows? Maybe it could be a film coming up again. Maybe it'll come back
oh
around full
yeah.
circle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially now, when I, like a lot of directors when they read scripts based off of books, we are compelled to read the book itself, right? And
Mhm.
honestly, it's a guide to the characters, right? So, we'll get actors going, what's my motivation? Like, why do I feel this way? And the book fleshes it out. And so it's my cheat sheet, right? My cliff notes. Like, well, and then sometimes we encourage the actors to read it, and they do. They'll find out it's a book, and they go out and on their own and read it. And then we sit down, we jam, and then we tell ourselves, okay, we have 2 hours, and we have this 3-second moment in the frame. How do we emote? How do we get all these emotions all in that 3 seconds, right? Where Seti and Constant are looking at each other, and they know they have to be professional. There's a hierarchy they have to respect, but also, as a person who's grown up in a world of fraternization where it's frowned upon, and a bunch of times in my life there would be somebody there that I wanted to profess my love, but I told myself I couldn't because it was unprofessional, and I never did. And and here's a book where these two characters navigated that, and it eventually came to fruition in a very positive, professional, safe way. And then it's this thing where, like, that's the romantic side of me when I read it. I go, oh, okay. If I could go back in time, maybe that's how I should play it out. But and
That's
once again, that's what the
incredible.
book has,
Yeah.
layers. Yeah, and to be honest, it's very few reasons I've heard uh positive reasons of the COVID. Oh, I did not do well in the COVID. I was just
Mhm.
like JC. I got in my car. I was like, I got to go see the world. Like, if I have to stay, it's a box with wheels. I'm not harming anybody. And I drove on the freeway, but I got to see, Los Angeles freeway empty. I never thought
Yeah.
in my wildest dream I would see the 405 empty, the five, I rode, and I even saw wild animals lingering next to the freeway going, where are the humans? And it was
Yeah.
surreal. And to hear that event, you know, bring the level of connectivity to where it's at, I see it. That, like, I absolutely see it in the book now, that your influences on your experience in COVID. And so, yeah. And I just want to throw a shout out to video games. That headset, you know, I bought myself a headset, and that's how I communicated with people. Because gamers are typically naturally sci-fi fans and movie fans. So it was very easy for me to find friends online, and we just started. Sometimes we were not playing, we were just talking about life and sci-fi and movies. So, but yeah, man, uh, that's good to hear that COVID inspired you.
Yeah,
So
that freeway situation, we remember that very well, don't we, Maddie? That was trippy, man. That was something else. And like I definitely think about that too when I think about this story and what we went through is like it affected everybody in a lot of harsh ways, but we tried our best. We tried our best to not give up hope, not give up the joy that we could still experience. I was fortunate to have somebody with me that I was able to still just be in a room and have a nice time with. So
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, it's a blessing because I did not, and it got to a point where even my own brother was like, "Come with me, come stay with me," and I had to. And then I was very fortunate that a friend of mine in Oregon had another house that was just empty, and he's like, "Why don't you? It sounds like you need a different setting." And I did. I'm a nomadic person. I'm like JC, where it's very much like I've got to change my environment. I have to be stimulated, which is why I love the film business. Like I've been very blessed by producers who have invited me to travel the world and do what I love, and then meet all these exotic, wonderful, smart people that probably don't speak English, but we found a way to connect through body language, through food, through common movies. They saw Jurassic Park in Serbian, right? And I saw it in English, but a dinosaur is a dinosaur, and it's a beautiful thing. To connect in any way we can. Like I understand it was a health hazard, and so Zoom came about. Google Meets, all these online, video conferencing apps, and so they were a blessing. But at this, I have to say this. You know, we're still fighting that fight. The
Yeah.
COVID war is not over, and it's this thing where because I really believe that the world has now got accustomed to this type of connection,
Hmm.
right? And um, I behoove of the human race. It isn't enough. I can't wait to physically see you, and
Same.
and just I know it sounds weird. The smells, the hug, the drink, the awkwardness. Because it's this thing where like when you're on text message, you could think of things before you answer, but when you're in person it's live, it's authentic, it's hey, do you like egg sandwiches? And I'm gonna make this face like yeah, like no, you don't like egg sandwiches. Why are you lying? But it happens more surreal when more real, I should say, in person. So I hope we don't get too bogged up with the convenience of online connections and
Well, that's absolutely
very
something. We're gonna do that. We gotta go for a drink soon, the three of us. And I think I know you're going out of town, but as soon as you get back, we need to plan it and actually go and get a drink and just have
Yeah,
fun in
like I
person.
always tell my friends because there's a con to the blessing of traveling and working is that everybody just assumes you're not around. And I always tell people never assume anything in life. You should open that door and peek in and say, "Hey, is anyone home?" I know I do that a lot with a lot of people. When as soon as I land, I call and I say, "Hey, let's have a drink." And so most times, that we're all busy. It's really hard as you get older. It's hard to align things. But what people should also understand is the effort is like 90% of that connection, the effort. The 10% is the arrival. It's the reward. It's the recharge. I mean, I definitely miss pre-pandemic when we're all at your house having drinks and Kevin's like, what kind of drinks you guys want? And he goes and he was so hospitable with the food, and you and I are just jamming under the stars about connectivity. Um, I mean, if there was a world where someone would pay me to read science fiction, talk about science fiction, and tell stories about science fiction, that's the world I want to be. And if it's in the medium of motion pictures, extra bonus.
Man, that's the dream. That's the dream, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Even a costume designer would love to sit down and just talk about fabrics
Oh
and
yeah.
what would we look like in the world of connectivity? Like what would be that outfit? What when especially when you don't have to worry about the rain, you're in these boxes and these virtual realities where your clothes really doesn't matter. You could probably be butt naked, nobody would know because you have your avatar. And it's this thing, which leads me to a guy at Jin. Man, when I read that script, that was edgy. I was like, oh man, creating that avatar you're basically impersonating someone that isn't you, which happens a lot on the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I honestly thought Gaia Jin was an edgy add-on to the screenplay, and I was like, ooh, we gotta toe the line to make sure uh it doesn't come off perverse or ingenuine. But in a way, it's a false image, right? And I think
Hmm.
society has gotten accustomed to creating that a lot. You
Sure. And for anybody who hasn't read it yet, Gaijin's an important part of the story, and you're just gonna have to get there. But
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. You gotta have. Hopefully, I don't spill the beans too much, but it's that's many things about the screenplay that attracted me. It was a challenge for me, right? Because imagine I direct a movie and they're like, yo, like that character is a little bit too wild for the audience. But the way you wrote it was a balancing act and in a well taken care of character. And the book does even a better job of creating that care of why a character created that avatar, that imposter, of love. Like,
Mhm.
and we eat it every day here in society. I mean, we go on Instagram and we see these beautiful, amazing people, and then we later find out they're photoshopped, or they're stressed, they're sad, they are constantly every day posting, 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 posting. And honestly, all they want is to be told they're doing great, that they're kicking butt, that they're inspiring people. But it's this thing where like not everybody is going to have the perfect nose. Like not everybody, I have to say this, and this is my humble opinion. I have a fear that everybody's going to look the same. Everybody is
Mhm.
going to want the same, and I'm just like and that's where we go into that gray 1984 dystopian. I mean, they call it utopian, but it's not. It's our differences that make us unique. Where I want to go to Serbia because Serbians look a certain way, they act a
Mhm.
certain way, they eat, but they remind me a lot about Mexicans because they like loud music, they like to drink, they like to socialize. So there's that one little bit that connects us, right? But I don't want to be connected because you know they look like me, or I want to connect with them don't look like me, and it's exciting because I go there and it's different. And it's this thing where like I just left Japan, and let me tell you, that is the Rivendell of Earth. Like,
Yes.
yeah, Japan blew my mind, and we need to do
Love it.
everything we can to preserve that culture and their way of thinking, because every country has their knack. Where our job is to invent jazz. Our job is to create the sushi burrito, the
Mhm.
iPod, the crazy music crossover of country and rap. That's our job. And other countries, they value other different things, and that's why we go and visit. But the moment we start looking the same, oof, I might be that neon highlighter that sticks out, and God knows what they'll do with me. But it's this thing where like, yeah, you got a book where you have five different characters with five different reasons. Um, and they're not bad. They make bad decisions. I mean, what's a villain? A villain's somebody who's trying to survive with their thoughts and their beliefs, and it just doesn't mesh with the rest of us, and they want to force it, right?
Mhm.
That's why Zeke's like, no, this is I invented this company, I saved the world, it's on my shoulders. And sometimes, bro, it's like, there's a
Doesn't
upgrade. There's somebody who is willing to help, and
yes.
let's
Doesn't just have to be on you. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Listen, like it doesn't hurt to listen. Honestly, I tell people all that time. Like, nobody's here to change your mind. We're just asking you to listen, and then you go home, and then you take your time to process it. And if we agree, great. If we don't, hey, it's all right too, because planet Earth is big enough for all these ideas, and that's why I can't wait to go to space, because then the canvas becomes even more bigger, and our ideas will get more wilder. And
Totally, totally.
yeah, so yeah, man.
I
Yeah, so
dig it, man.
kudos on the book, bro.
Thank you
Kudos.
so much, and thank you for everything that you did for it. Before we finish up, I wanted to ask you, what do you got going on in the works? I know you're going to the UK.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. Let's see. I'm going to the UK. We're doing a horror movie. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but it's pretty big. These cats have done. There was their first movie was Winnie Pooh, and then the second one was Winnie Pooh Blood and Honey. It was this horror version of the Winnie Pooh characters, and they have graciously invited me into their fold. So I'm headed over to UK to do another installment of their horror franchise stuff. But some of my personal I got Holy Mother, which is a religious psychological thriller about two siblings navigating their home, which becomes a haunted house because their mother unravels religiously. and start seeing demons and ghosts. And these kids, I mean, they're they're going to believe it. They're going to believe their adult guardian. So they got to navigate to that. So I'm super excited to get some funding on that. But as everybody's read it, they're like, wow, this is very scary. And I think it's scary because it's so real. I think we all have gone through that in our lives where an adult has told us about the boogeyman, about like La Llorona, Santa Claus, they use these fictional characters to control our minds,
Mm.
and we as children manifest it. And that's essentially what the book is essentially about. And so everybody is read is like, this is I don't know if I'll be able to see it, but the irony of it all is there's no blood and guts. It's weird. It's just strictly psychological. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's an ace in the hole because anywhere in the world you can connect to these kids, and you're like, okay, I've lived through that. And then the other ones, of course, sci-fi. There's my cyberpunk script that I'm working on religiously on because it'll be my opus, but it's going to require big bucks. And then I got hired to do a Viking short, so that's in the works. It's called
That's cool.
Berserker.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah. I'm hoping the team that has supported. Shout out to Curtis McGon and Kelsey. They're the ones that are pushing me to do this Viking short, and we're gonna hopefully shoot it in next year in Washington because there's like a Norwegian Viking community there. And so I'm hoping that they'll support us and we'll get blood and guts and some Nordic lore,
I
But
think I've seen that town that you're talking about. It looks pretty cool.
oh, yeah, it's famous. Yeah, you type it on the internet, it's there, and we're hoping that once I finish the script, as you know, I'll get a script and tear it apart and go, why is this? Oh, this is great. Oh, all this stuff, and unfortunately, to them, I'm writing it, so I'm tearing my own stuff apart. And yeah, just recently, I just had a bunch of writers read the short, and then they tore it apart, and I'm very much one of those people that if I can convince 4 out of the 5 of you guys to look at the script and go, it is sharp, I'm good to go. Because when I shoot it, there's an odd that I'll have those 4 audience members. I do my movies to connect to the audience,
Hmm.
and it's this thing where I as a director I want to say something, even if it's violence and spaceships flying around, we are still saying something subliminally, like whether it's
Hmm.
hope, whether it's connecting. This is the reason why I fell in love with your script because there's an underlining statement that we need to stay connected, whether it's through video games, whether it's professing your love physically, whether it's connecting to the environment. Like JC, he's like, yo, I gotta go see this broken world because he's never seen it, and
Hmm.
but SETI has, right? SETI lived in that
She
time.
knows. She knows. Yeah.
And you and I are the transitional babies, bro. I'm telling you this right
Yeah.
now. When we're 80 years old, these little kids, they're gonna be 10 times smarter than I am. But the one thing that they're gonna crave is that experience without the machine, right? Between us. And I'm hoping that we say kind words and say, yeah, it's okay, like to not have power. Like it is okay not to have the access of all the information in the world because sometimes uh, a story that has no merit or no facts will influence mankind to not to a better mindset, right? Like Santa Claus,
Absolutely.
So it's like Santa Claus encourages us to be good, right? And like if
Yes.
you're good, you'll get a present, right? Uh, you know, Jesus, this I don't think he's fictional, but some people do. It's like this man, gave up, his life for us sinners. Like we're still gonna commit sin. He knows that, and he did it anyways. Like, and it's this thing where like human beings, we should be kind to each other and listen just because it's just
And
right. There's
it's
no
the number
reward.
one thing. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
listen, hear each other, be kind, do that thing. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And
how we survive.
that's how we survive, man. It's kind of this thing where like let the universe, the beholder, decide who wins or loses or whatever. You just keep moving forward and try to be the best version of yourself, and you're gonna fail. I mean, that's fine. Nobody. those who demand perfection, whew, in a world of pain. But to be that person where you're trying to be the best you can, and then you see somebody fall, and you just give 1 second to put your hand out, they're gonna look like you're a hero, and then they're gonna write a movie about heroes, and so then you get $100 million fucking franchise. Oh, I just cursed. I was trying so hard not to curse.
No,
I
no,
said,
don't worry. I don't have that kind of limitation here.
"Oh,
I
okay, cool." Yeah, I
curse a
was
bunch. I
I was
just
telling
haven't.
myself before this, do not curse. So
You're okay.
yeah,
We're not on one of the, we're not going to get fined by the, what's it, FTC? No, not that. That's the Drug Commission.
FCC or something. The FCC. Yeah. Yeah, speaking of cursing, like I don't I gotta say this, like why we have these MPA ratings anymore. I mean, I went to see Wolverine and Deadpool, and half my audience was under the age of 18, easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's the ultra, and I think our job now is to help these youngsters navigate through the violence, through the sex, through the drugs, and say, look, these are pitfalls, and some people are gonna fall into it, but there's a way out. It's not the end of the world. There's a way out.
And
There's a
there are
hand.
positive versions of all of them at the same time, which is crazy. There's good versions of all of those
Yeah,
things. So, yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
let's have a
Maddie
conversation.
handed me this little piece of paper, and she
Yes,
said,
Maddie. Okay.
to do a little evolutionary recap. So
Okay.
what I wanted to do now is I just want to say, okay, so connectivity. We met because of connectivity. Well, we met because of Starion. And Starion is
Yes.
what drove me to think of you as the right guy to be the director for connectivity. Starion's a short film that Z made that was you had a full screenplay, right?
Yeah, so we had a full screenplay. It started as a short that I wrote, and then I hired a writer to write a full feature. And then this wonderful producer, Stephen Shea. Gosh, look him up. He's a killer, Stephen Shea. And he became one of my lead producers. Nadal Call was another amazing producer that actually got it launched so we could physically go shoot the short version. And then we were able to sell it to Dust. If you guys ever have any interest, there's a channel called Dust. I think they have it on Roku, the internet, YouTube. And Dust channel is runs nothing but sci-fi short. It's in a beautiful channel. And they got it, and Starring got featured on Dust. And it's a love letter to science fiction. Two young ladies explore navigating an alien planet, and they're about to pop the cork on this capsule that was the result of killing their own parents, and they're just curious what is in this capsule. And it's this thing where once again, I love to say something with any of the stuff I direct. And I'm so happy you saw it and you thought of me to direct Connectivity. Here we are,
Here we are,
years
years
later.
later. Yeah, years later. We
Yeah.
had the screenplay. I had a screenplay. I brought it to Z and said, "Hey, I want you to direct this." He said, "Absolutely." And then he said, "Here's the things that I think this might need." And together we worked together on finding that perfect middle ground for ourselves at the time, which eventually led to a chance to make a movie. And then COVID hit and we lost our opportunity, but within that, the book was born.
I still very interested in making it into a feature film, especially now that the book exists. I got my cliff notes, like, okay, um, and it's this thing where, as much as I hate COVID, to hear that it was a blessing for you to finish the book. You and I both knew when we read the screenplay, there was a far more bigger world to explore with these characters, and you did it, and now it's done. I'm sure you'll go back to the screenplay and read it and mold it, and I hope you still will honor me as a potential director, and then somewhere out there, if an investor will watch this, or me talking about it, or they kind of are interested to say something in this medium of motion pictures and sci-fi, and these characters, especially, how often do you see a single mother as a lead character in a sci-fi world, and it's dope. It's like, it's not even it feels good. It feels great. The whole world does. And it's in my mind, I'm so excited to just have those emotional beats with colorful, a sci-fi background. Like, I'm just,
Mhm.
like, what is that word? Blade Runner. Are you kidding me? I'm constantly looking at the background. I had to watch that movie 3 times because I'm like, oh, I love everything about it. And then I'm looking at the performance, and then I'm paying attention to the background, so I
Yeah,
miss the performance.
yeah, that universe is so beautifully drawn out, so
Yeah.
beautifully put together.
Kudos to the production designer, the lighting department, the lighting technicians, it's the special. I mean, in a feature film, it's the director and it's the team. It's not this, it's this. It's there. We're all together, and it's just kind of this thing. Like I have a vision, but I don't read lighting magazines. Like I just don't. Like it's not my thing. I want my lighting technician to, give me the best of the best. Like, how do we get the audience to be immersed in this world? So, and hopefully connectivity gets that treatment.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, never say never. The industry will never get old. It won't die. Even with the AI stuff, we're obsessed with making content. I mean, I am. I mean, it's this thing where uh I have maybe 60 years left in this planet, and that's okay. But I'm spending those 60 years telling stories. I
Great.
love it. And if I could say in a motion picture setting with crew and lighting and I call you, hey, I'm a little stuck. So Seti, she's doing this moment. I got a frame. Why is it weird if she just looks off frame to the left, like she thinks she could see Gaia, and you're like, bro, let me tell you. And it's like, yeah, and those moments is what excites me as a director. It's this thing where we're translating words into now images, and then those images are translating to emotion to the audience. And so that's why we like Back to the Future too, man. I mean, we connected Doc and Marty. I mean, it's true. Like, God, we
Totally.
wish they were our friends.
They are.
So
They
yeah,
still are.
they still.
Epic.
Oh yeah, are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
epic.
Yeah.
Epic. Thank you, Z, for coming on this show. Z's an awesome director. You should check out his stuff. Yeah. Thank you for being my first guest. Really appreciate it.
It's an honor. Like I said, man, thank you for the acknowledgement on the book, man. It's a rare honor. I don't know how many people on this planet get to say that, and you gave me that gift. So,
You deserve it, man.
all right, brother.